Hello, and welcome to Thrive After 45, the podcast where we redefine the significance of you, for you, by you, because of you. My name is Denise Drinkwalter. I'm a midlife renewal coach, helping women to embrace their power, purpose, and potential. This show is your space to explore what's possible when you prioritize you. Through inspiring conversations, expert insights, and real stories, we'll uncover how to navigate transitions, rediscover joy, and thrive inside and out. This is the Thrive After 45 podcast, and it's your time to thrive for you, by you, because of you. It is an honor and a privilege to introduce and welcome Sharon Rolph to our Thrive After 45 podcast today. Sharon is a retirement coach and, I love this, a spark specialist with a passion for helping people uncover their untapped potential, especially in their later years. Her fascination with human potential started in her teens, leading her to earn a master's degree in behavioral science. And now, with 6 years of experience in her field, she is dedicated to guiding others from feeling invisible to embracing their courage, identity, and purpose. Sharon's impact is undeniable. Through her coaching, she has worked one-on-one with individuals to help them navigate life transitions, but her reach extends far beyond. She has been on a guest of over 169 podcasts, has hosted 60 loneliness to resilience weekly events, and created 50 plus of her own podcast episodes. Her message resonates deeply with those struggling with loneliness, identity, relevance, and finding purpose in retirement. And today we have the incredible opportunity to learn from Sharon's wisdom and experience. Welcome to Thrive After 45, Sharon. So
Thank
great
you
to
for
have
having
you.
me.
Oh my gosh, where do we begin? How in the world has your last 6 years unfolded for you?
Well, I have often said I decide what stops me. And because I have such a commitment to unveiling, well, actually inspiring, facilitating untapped potential, I see all the free time in retirement that people are often stuck and bored or invisible like
Yeah.
I was. It needs to be healed. The world needs to heal. We
Mm,
need to find a new challenge
yeah.
for that has a purpose and a meaning and a fulfillment. And boy, it'll change your life because I like to think of it. I don't know, I'm kind of weird, but I like to think that we can bring a little bit of heaven on earth here because when you unleash your invisible assets, the things that are inside, it just feels like what you're meant to do here, and that's a wonderful
Mm.
feeling. Yeah.
I think what you're tapping into and what's resonating with me as you're sharing is that you are tapping into your soul purpose on earth,
Mhm. Very good,
right?
very good. Yeah, because when I the first weekend of coaching, coaching school, it was a week before I retired, but we had spent the whole weekend working on what they called essence statement. And as we finished, they had us standing in a circle reading our statement to each other. And I noticed some of the people were kind of, sniffling, and what's that about? And as it came my turn,
Yeah.
I sucked in my breath. I had never been asked to define my soul before, is what it felt like. Yeah,
Mm,
exactly. Here's what I read to them. I am precious jewel of wisdom. I am colorful collaborator, motivator, and learner. I am tranquil, authentic, and pure inspirer, I light fires. I'm here to light your fire so that you're living from something that means and matters to you, and that you align your life with making choices and decisions that is in line with what you're here for. And it will feel a little bit like heaven on earth. Yes.
Yeah, I love that. It's brilliant. It's brilliant because isn't that the opportunity that presents itself as we continue to live this beautiful life that we have? When we're younger, we're busy, 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 doing, doing, doing. But now we get to take pause and do that deep reflective work that's available for us. Do you find that?
Yeah, often life gets kind of monotonous, paying the bills,
Yeah. Yeah.
your car, your education, all that. And you might have had dreams, especially
Yeah.
when you're gone camping or you're out watching the ocean and this little voice talks to you like, oh, it kind of scares you maybe. But I believe that's God talking to us and inspiring us to. What scares us is we don't even know how to start, or that we
Yeah.
don't know how to do the whole thing. And one of my little art blocks here is once you take the first step, you'll know what the second step is. So
Mm.
anyway, yeah, I don't have it at my fingertips, but yeah, I looked at my those little messages about how can I be obedient, not scared, but intentionally obedient to your heart's cry.
Mm.
Don't you think
I
that would
love
be
that.
good? Yeah.
Yeah. That really, really resonates. And so how do people begin that journey? Like you just said, you mentioned about, the ocean or the forest, or tell us more about that. Why nature? What's the deal with nature?
Well, it's part of that pause process, Denise,
Okay.
that when you get that solitude of quiet out, the nature is often very quiet unless you're at the ocean and there's lots of waves coming in. But in that stillness of just absorbing nature, the air, the birds and the songs and the beauty, I think talks a lot to us. That
Mhm.
it awakens something that matters to us. And
Mm.
we have had so many distractions and noise and stress and all that stuff that we love the silence if we remove ourselves from the busyness and slow down. So one
Yeah.
of the first things I like to encourage people to do is just, and it's one of the steps in my program, is list 20 things you love to do. Now, when I was a teenager, I kind of had a love for baking, and Dad
Yep.
always liked chocolate chip cookies. Well, I introduced snickerdoodles to him, and what's this? Is this new? He liked his pie and cake and cookies, and so that was on my list of 20 things I love to do. And now you might get 8 or 10 pretty quick, but
Yeah.
to set it to 20 is a little bit tougher to do. But I want you to pay attention to how you feel as you're
Mm.
writing that list of 20 things. There's energy and warm feelings just from even writing the list.
And what it does is brings up not just the idea of writing the list, but it deepens your connection with what does really matter, which is
Mm-hmm.
a great starting point. I love that, Sharon.
Oh,
That's
yeah. Oh,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've been reading Powered by Me by Indian doctor, that a lady doctor that worked in the emergency room a lot, and she loved her job,
Okay.
but she wrote the book from a state of burnout. And
Mm.
what I got out of her book was how there's social energy, physical energy, mental energy. Um, there's 5 of them, so I don't have them right at the moment, but
Sure.
but I hadn't ever thought
A lot of it.
social, you and I creating energy and um, filling an appetite that our psyche has for connection.
Yeah. And it's so imperative connection, isn't it? And we don't give the value and don't understand the value until we don't have connections or our connections start disappearing. And then we start to realize sometimes the absence of it makes us grow fonder of it, right?
Yeah, the hunger for it. The
Yeah.
I've been working on
Yeah.
this loneliness to resilience community for over a
Yeah,
year.
I was gonna yeah.
And I've been bringing in some of her training, teaching around energy and how the how much we can add to our lives by the choices we make. And it's like we have to train ourselves all over again to fill that appetite intentionally. And I'm
Mhm.
certainly working on it too,
Well, isn't it the beautiful thing, this thing called life, is because the way I see it or the way that I try to do life is that I'm always learning and that appetite for
Yeah.
continuing to grow and expand because once I stop learning, I believe that'll be my final breaths because that's how I view life. If I stay where I am, then I'm not doing anything for myself and for those closest to me in my sphere of influence.
Well,
However, I was just going to say, however, the key is flipping it, not to do it so that everybody else benefits, but the priority being me, for you, by you, because of you. And the outpouring of the results, it's like the pebble in the pond. You throw that in and it reaches out as it ripples
yeah.
further. So, yeah.
How that lesson came to me was I had been out of town for the weekend, and on
Mhm.
my patio here, I have some plants, and somewhere along the line, I realized that when I water my plants, they grow. And so when I came back from vacation, I thought I better hurry up and get the water out there because I've been gone for 2, 3 days. And as
Yep.
I was taking my water to the patio, oh, if you're not growing, you're dying. And that's when I realized the same thing goes for us, especially in retirement, when the likelihood of maybe you didn't know you were in charge of your time and your life and your schedule now, and the reason for getting up in the morning is gone.
Yeah.
You need to be take the initiative to schedule your day and your life and your appointments and your friends yourself, because once if your friends were at work, they're still working. So
Yeah,
what do you
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. And something that I love what you're doing is helping with that bridging of the gap. Oh, I'm so excited I'm retiring and there's a big celebration and everything about it. And then it's like, well, this is good for a year or two. And then people are looking around going, okay, so I do more volunteer than I've been, never been busier. I hear that all the time. I've never been busier. My question always wants to be, how about your happiness? Have you been happier?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So there's a difference of filling and doing the scheduling and filling and doing the happiness meter, in my opinion, because sometimes busy doesn't always mean happy. So to get to know what resonates for you, I love what you were saying before about what brings you that joy, what brings you that, what did you love to do? You loved to cook, you love to create, you love to be in the kitchen. Well, that would not be me. That's not my joy. That's me, is like, okay, I have to do this. However, I have other things that I love to do, and so I work to ensure that I have those things, if not daily, weekly, definitely monthly, like making sure that I'm okay filling my own cup.
Yeah.
And that's about learning who we are. Like, how can people get to know themselves better now that they have this time in their second, third stage of living?
Well, first, give yourself a hug every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been working on that, especially in the last couple of years, because,
Yeah.
I remember those days when I thought, if you really knew me, you wouldn't love me. Back in my 20s and 30s, you know, um, that whole self-love was kind of a foreign concept, it's a
Yeah.
different language. But so here's something I love to do. Okay, I love to sew. I love to
Yes.
craft words of wisdom, and I love
Yeah.
color. And they
Yes.
came together all in these little art blocks. Now, I I didn't dream up these art blocks until I was working at Joanne Fabrics, helping a couple stores open, and they taught us to always ask the customers what projects they were working on. And
Okay.
at the time that I asked this question, I was actually in the line to check out
Yes.
something I was buying, and the lady in front of me. So I asked her that question, and here she was, a letter carrier, and she was making um, these little art blocks for Halloween was coming up. So she was
Okay.
designing some that she would mail to some friends, 8 or 10 of them, each season. And it didn't take long for me to get home and realize that that was a perfect setting for my little art blocks. I made them
Yeah.
to fit in cubicles, because at that time we weren't in offices anymore. We were in cubicles. Well, now we're not even in cubicles. But so
Right.
then I said, well, it's art work for small spaces, like kitchens and bathrooms and RVs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
an example of taking three things that I enjoy doing and
Yeah.
wrapping them into a piece of art, basically.
Yeah.
And I've since done a lot of, well, probably was already working on quilts at the time, but I have made several quilts for both myself and as projects for other people. But and volunteering, you mentioned, that is a huge um, solution to doing something productive with your spare time. And I had a
Right.
couple of uncles that did quite a bit of that. And you
Okay.
get to
Yeah.
be meeting up new people. One of the guests I had on my podcast was the AARP president for Washington State, and he had 9 things of here's what you get when you volunteer. And the part that I liked the most is from my mom. She said, Sharon, I was about 14, I think, at the time. And she said, when you do something for somebody else, you're blessing them, but you feel good too. It goes both ways. Oh, that would be reciprocity, wouldn't it?
It's- I love it.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
I'm going to build on that. When you volunteer, you feel good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the nice thing about the idea of volunteering, as long as you're doing it through the right lens, not through the lens of, well, everybody else is doing this, so that I guess that's what I'm going to do, is jump in and volunteer because I don't know what else to do. It might be a starting point,
Right,
but
right.
like you're saying, the connections you can make and the conversations that can occur, and then you might be able to see something that you hadn't seen before because of what we talked about earlier. That communication and connection with others helps spark something within you that you maybe have not lost, but hidden for a while, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the story that he ended his podcast with me was just really quite a heart stopper, because
Mm,
he became an advocate for senior living communities. He'd go in and make sure that their needs were being met.
yes. Yes.
So he found this lady that never ate in the dining hall.
Mm,
Never. So he found out she was self-conscious about the fact she didn't have any teeth.
yeah.
All she needed was somebody to help her get some dentures, and
Yeah.
he did that for her. It changed her life.
Of
And
course.
and that will resonate in your spirit as happiness for a long time. A couple other
Yeah.
stories were people that had been mentoring uh, second and third graders that
Mm-hmm.
needed with math and reading. And to then
Yep.
later see them walk across the
Mm,
graduation platform, I helped that person be able to be a good citizen by their math and reading skills.
yeah.
That will resonate for a long time. They probably become lifelong friends because of the investment they've made with each other.
And don't you find that the reason that that comes to be is because they're seeing one another for what's really going on and not just, oh, well, we need to go to the dining hall now. Let's wheel you down as a volunteer. It's like, I want to get to know and understand. Like that is investing in the situation because of your deep care and concern for others. And that exists within us. I just find that when we're so busy earlier on in life that we don't stop and do that as readily as we can when we have more time to do so. So the
Yeah.
whole investment, yeah.
I like what you said about you can start with something that's convenient and easy to do. Like
Yeah.
one of my guests said, do what you did for charity or for a nonprofit.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
if you were an accountant, find some nonprofit, church, whatever, that
Yep.
needs somebody to do the accounting stuff. If you
Yep.
were an airplane pilot, find somebody that needs people or things delivered, and
Yep.
that transition could be easy for you. But branching out and actually digging a little deeper is highly recommended too, or trying different things.
Right.
There's now some really good databases where you can enter in the things like maybe these 20 things you love to do. And
Yeah.
I know I was surprised back when before AI, I would string a bunch of words together on Google and say, where's a job that looks like this? I was
Exactly.
surprised how good it was.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's being resourceful. Right?
Yep, yep.
Because there's a desire there, like, there's a new curiosity around this stage, and why not? Why not? Because there's so much more ahead for us. So,
Well,
yeah.
imagine when we first got out of college and how many kids we knew that were doing the Peace Corps volunteer thing. That was pretty wild, going to another country and helping out. But I'd like to challenge you to be curious to
Yeah.
try that again. I
Yeah.
actually have met a guy that made a documentary on how the Peace Corps started. And
Oh,
it was,
wow.
yeah, and I think we need to revive that whole idea of investing ourselves in something that matters so significantly to people
Yeah.
that are without.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And I love your term invest because it's not just, "Oh, I'll go do that and come home." It's not separate. It's all of you in terms of what you want to give back. So thank you for that. I love that.
I want to mention too, though, that a lot of retirees, they want to go and come back. If they want to go visit their kids, or they
Mhm.
want to go on a cruise or something. So
Yep.
they're not looking for something that's every week, or every month.
Sure.
So know that going into it, maybe you are a steady Eddie kind of guy, and
Yep.
being there every week is perfect for you. But
Yeah.
realize that there are some like to haves that you can have it both ways.
I love that. I love that. There is no box to fit in. Play with it, explore, and enjoy. Right? Yeah. Any closing words of wisdom that you would love to share with our audience that's coming up for you that I know there's so much, but is there anything in particular you would just love to share before we close off?
Well, I wrote my book, Fresh Christian Retirement, Finding Purpose, Essence, and Fulfillment, with the idea that you can walk through a bunch of questions that I use to wake
Perfect.
up what's in your soul again, And I included some of these art blocks because, where are they? Because somehow beauty gets processed in our body, in our brain, a different way than just words do. So anyway, but I do have lots of resources in the back of each chapter, and then at the back there's an appendix for books and movies and websites that will also help you do some of your research. But here's one of my art blocks that I like a lot. When you see what you're here for, the light comes on. You suddenly find yourself on stage in a play written expressly for you.
I love that.
You did search for that. It is possible. B.S. Flowers, I think her name was Betty. And
I love that.
And don't forget, have you forgotten who you are? That's a line from Lion King that when we don't have our colleagues anymore, when we don't have our business card anymore, that defines what our job is and what our title is, you're still that college graduate. You're still that dynamite debater. You're still that trombone player. And that's still part of you. And
absolutely,
Denise and I can't tell what's your talent is, but when you discover what it is, then you can light up the world with the reason you're here.
Yeah, for sure. You nailed it. We don't have the answer. It lies within, and our opportunity to connect with the clients that we get to connect with allows us to help with that reflection piece, doesn't it?
Yeah, because oftentimes we're too close to our own skin. We're not objective enough. We need help from others. And the part of connecting, partnering with people like Denise and I is that we kind of hold you a little bit accountable. Or another big piece is we see a different perspective.
Yeah.
I'll never forget my girlfriend down in Seattle say her friend was a missionary and she'd asked for Pat to send her some peanut butter. They couldn't get peanut butter in their country. And Pat was sitting here stewing about what brand and creamy or crunchy, how big a jar, whatever. Pat, she just wants some peanut butter. Don't let it stifle you.
Yeah.
It really makes a difference, I think.
Of course. I reference it. You can't see the forest for the trees. Same idea, isn't it? It's just you're too close to what you're too close to. And so we just give the opportunity to put the mirror up and just ask questions or feedback what we're hearing or what we're seeing or what we're feeling.
So feeling that energy and passion, do that.
Yeah. Sharon, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Absolutely. I can't wait to put this out into the masses, and all of your content, information on how to contact you and your book and everything will be in the show notes.
Okay.
So so if you are not following Thrive After 45, jump on. You do not want to miss these incredible guests that I get to share space, time, and wisdom with. It is an honor and a privilege always to have conversation with the likes of Sharon and all of the incredible guests we have here at Thrive After 45. I wish you all well, and make sure that you do something for you, by you, because of you today, even if it's for a minute. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you again. Give yourselves a big hug. Thank you, Sharon. Bye-bye. Bye.